Trapmore gang, ever since it was revealed that there might have been more people inside David's circle that might have had something to do with or at least known about the mysterious death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old girl who was found deceased in the trunk of David's Tesla near his house in the Hollywood Hills. Now, one of the biggest names that has come up in this, I guess, right now it still feels like a rumor, but apparently this all comes off the back of a grand jury questioning, okay, and one of the names that comes up a lot, right, we're seeing this article on Court TV, grand jury reveals details, okay, in the Celeste Hernandez case, a link to David. One of the big names that keeps coming up is Robert Morgenroth. Robert, man, what was going on, Robert? Okay, according to TMZ, Morgenroth was overheard describing LA County Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman as very pushy when questioning why he didn't call the police after learning of the discovery. Morgenroth allegedly continued, I said, I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that and just wanted to continue with the tour. Okay? How crazy is that that's what this person said to the grand jury after being questioned? Why didn't you do anything? Robert Morgenroth, general manager of Mogul Vision record label, testified before the grand jury. Okay, they said, what was going on? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you call the cops? But the other person that they said might have had something to do with this was an uncooperative female witness who recently indeed refused to testify. Uncooperative witness was apparently due to be arrested, but this was all the way back on December the 10th. It's now been 2 weeks since this, and there has been no women arrested. Okay, apparently it was a woman. Okay, they're basically saying this person represents this woman basically represents multiple people in the case. Okay, there's one witness is so uncooperative, she is about to be arrested. So they said that it was indeed a woman. Now, today we're going to have a closer look at some of the people around David. Okay, the management team behind David and some of the people that might have been around when these things are going left, when rumors are swirling that he's in a relationship with a runaway minor, when she's suddenly disappearing, he's dropping his Withered album, it's got all these references to death, and within a few months, she's being found dead in the car after it's been towed. It's absolutely crazy, okay? So we're going to work out who is most likely going to be the woman who they're saying is not cooperative. Now, there is a pretty good theory around this, okay? But before we give you that theory, we're going to have to go all the way back to the start. Robert Morgenroth, okay, he is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more interesting people. So apparently, okay, the label Mogul Vision was apparently established by Lil Mosey and Smoke Purp's manager Josh Marshall, okay, the other person who was involved in the career of David, okay. Arista Records teams with Josh Marshall to launch Mogul Vision Music, all right. They're partnering with notable artist managers to launch joint venture record labels, all right. They basically decided to team with Lil Mosey's manager, Arista Records, and Josh Marshall, best known for managing Smoke Purp and Lil Mosey, confirmed the launch of Mogul Vision Music. The joint venture label focused on breaking talent and building artists' careers through A&R branding and marketing strategies. Based in New York, Marshall will serve as CEO of the label. Mogul Vision's first signings include Blatina, an Atlanta rapper, and Kenny Hoopla. Okay? Now, Lil Mosey, okay, he's most known for this 2020 track, Blueberry Faygo. Okay, you might remember this. This was a banger, all right? This was a legendary moment for the game, all right? I've been getting copyright claims recently for showing moving videos. So we ain't going to show any moving footage from music videos. But as you can see, Blueberry Faygo was a certified hit, all right? It went March 26, 2020. That's when it came out. It's got 375 million views. How insane is that? That's an insane amount of views. That's a ridiculous amount of views, quite frankly, okay? So just like with David, okay, Robert Morgenroth was probably spending a lot of time day to day with Lil Mosey and apparently worked in a capacity as his tour manager. So this is Robert Morgenroth's LinkedIn account, okay, and it's got all of his career highs as being tour manager for various rappers and musicians that have been associated with that label. And as you can see here, he was the tour manager for Smoke Purp from April 2018 to 2020, and he was the tour manager for Lil Mosey from June 2019 to April 2020. Okay, and Kenny Hoopla, full-time for over a year, Gigi Perez, and then he became a general manager at Mogul Vision full-time. But interestingly, and I don't mean to drag Lil Mosey, but, okay, his career did actually come to a little bit of a disappointing, I don't know how to say this politely, okay, but basically his career was derailed by these pretty serious allegations, okay. He was accused of the R word. He was found not guilty in the end, okay. It's important to say he was never found guilty in court, but these allegations came from a 2021 incident where somebody claimed that the R word did go down, basically claimed that she and a girlfriend experienced you know, that awful situation. Now, okay, in the end, he was found not guilty. He did take it to trial, but clearly that would have been a serious and complicated situation for anybody in his circle, anybody in his management, anybody that's been part of his label, put him on, any of that stuff to deal with. Now, around the time Celeste's body was identified, a TikToker named Desi Overzealous, all right, would basically come out and claim, okay, to be Lil Mosey's brother, and posted a video making serious allegations about Robert. Sorry, I might have meant to say sister, but basically this is the person, this is the human who claims to be, okay, claims Lil Mosey is their brother. I'm just going to be very careful, okay, because I don't know too much backstory about this particular person. But they're claiming that their brother, Lil Mosey, okay, was kind of had a little bit of a hard time in the music industry and, you know, seen some things, okay, and basically has some choice words about the management team that was behind Lil Mosey during this time, okay, and they made serious allegations.
Little sus. Before I thought about the Tesla, because Tesla somehow is always at the scene of a crime, what truly stopped me in my tracks was the few degrees of separation between myself and David. The common link being David's manager. Last I checked, I don't know about right now, David's manager was my little brother's former manager. Anytime a young child, especially, is ushered into a record deal, but into the music industry, but entertainment in general, you're looking at lessers of evils. Like, it's incredibly subjective to see what a good scenario is. In a scenario where everyone is trying to exploit the creative, the talent, the child. In a whirlwind of terrible people, one of my only allies was my brother's manager, but his proximity to Diddy. Obviously, as a millennial, I knew everything in and behind Diddy for years and years and years. So I'm like, oh, you're acquainted with the Combses. That gave me pause. And ultimately, my brother would have a very tumultuous experience with his 15 minutes of fame. Whatever vice you come in with, no matter how young, it will be amplified. Any weakness, any craving, all of that will be indulged. They'll give you everything. They'll let you be as uninhibited, gluttonous, feel as though you are invincible, while normalizing you being desensitized by the tsunami wave of freedom within the industry, access. It seems like abundance, especially for a young boy or, you know, a very young man. At the peak of my brother's career, when, you know, he was really supposed to take off, the pandemic hit. His biggest single didn't have the moment that it should have or could have. Couldn't go on tour. It was all these various things. The people he hung out with, the influences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My brother, when he was most vulnerable, after being vulnerable throughout his record deal, but at the peak of his vulnerability, not even 20 years old yet, he was targeted, manipulated, exploited, brainwashed into a ritual cult with a Haitian warlock. Everyone that loved and cared about him was alienated. My stepmom, my brother's brothers, myself. Eventually, he would go on to leave his label, fire his manager, and become entirely handled. When I got wind of the circumstances, after already kind of saying, well, you're 18, I can't help as much as I'm desperately trying to anymore. This is your journey. This is your walk. I can't save you from you. The time they clued me back in on how bad the situation had gotten, how programmed my brother was, it was already a crisis, a disaster. Went to LA, I'm talking to lawyers, like all these things are happening. I'm having a conversation with my stepmother who throughout the entire experience, we didn't see eye to eye. I was much more critical. But I don't have a kid, so I tried to lead with grace. But when I found out the extent of the psychological warfare and the spiritual warfare my brother had.
I'm not going to lie. She sounds a little bit crazy to me. Now, this post is going around. It says Lil Mosey's sis, Desi Zealous, so I guess sister, on Interscope, and Josh Marshall and the music industry cult, David and the Celeste murder. And basically someone said, okay, did I get this right? Your brother used to have David's manager too, and eventually your brother fell into a ritual cult and left the manager. And then she replied, my brother fell into the cult while still under the manager. He left the manager soon after he left the label, all under the influence of his cult handler. Okay, now they're saying you guys sound psychotic and delusional. I'm not going to lie, it sounds quite psychotic and delusional to me, but it just goes to show you, okay, just how like deep and dark people's thought patterns can get when it comes to how they think about Hollywood and the industry. And there's been a whole lot of talk recently about, you know, Diddy party. She mentioned Diddy parties and all that kind of thing. And sometimes it's like, oh, that sounds like a whole load of nonsense. Then you start hearing things, you're like, okay, maybe there's like some shreds of truth to this stuff. But really, she does sound. I see people in the comments saying she basically mad that. Salty that Mosey got dropped. She's salty she lost her free cash grab and she's just trying to trash everybody. Maybe he didn't have the motion that he actually needed to have a successful career at a label, and they just decided to make up a bunch of baloney and say, oh, well, these labels, they're getting satanic cults. And it's like when Jay-Z, oh, they throw up the rock, oh, it's the Illuminati. Like, I don't think that's really what's happening, but at the same time, I do sympathize, and I'm sure that shit did get weird on tour, and, you know, maybe there's some negative influence. Now, in David's case, okay, Robert himself is not just a tour manager or day-to-day manager, but somebody that apparently was deeply involved in David's personal life and in his Discord server. And there was basically a YouTuber called Matthew Bodo who basically would do a great job explaining this. Here's what he said.
Now, a lot of people were talking about Josh Marshall and the fact that he was David's manager and he had to have known all of this, but obviously we found out that Josh lives in a different state and he really was not working with David face to face as much as we think, if ever. But you know who was working with David all the time? His tour manager, Rob. And Rob is a beloved person in David's circle. He is referenced many times in David's Discord. The kids in this Discord love Rob. And everyone in David's Discord knew Rob to be David's manager. There was no reference of Josh Marshall anywhere in this Discord. Someone says Rob over David. Yeah, you can read this one for yourself. Mind you, this is a kid. Someone says, I'm low-key kind of scared of Rob. And someone else says, I love Rob. This person says Rob is a Tommy. They were talking about a show that David had and someone says I should have gone just to...
Wait. They just said Rob is a Tommy?
This one for yourself. Mind you, this is a kid. Someone says, I'm low-key kind of scared of Rob. And someone else says, I love Rob. This person says Rob is a Tommy.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
They were talking about a show that David had and someone says I should have gone just to meet Rob. Someone says I dabbed David up and met Rob. Someone else responds I wish I met Rob, and someone else says he's the GOAT. Another person says at least I got to see Rob on stage. Someone says Rob tapped me on the shoulder in line and said he liked my merch. Another person says I seen Rob walk past me a few times. He had so much aura. I don't know why the others didn't get blasted by his aura wave. This is some pretty big aura, you guys. I mean, I've never seen aura emit such fluorescence, such brightness, such puffiness in my life. One person highlights the fact that Rob can fix things and get you right. Another person says Rob is mad chill. He gave my friend free VIP too. Another weird message coming from a kid who's interacted with Rob at a past show. You can pause to read. And yes, Rob has Discord, and yes, he is in David's Discord. This is his user right here in the group. One person even says Rob is 31 and talks like he's 13. It's so funny.
That's a little weird. Now we're starting to see, like, bruh, these things are getting a little bit off track.
He's 13. It's so funny. Rob was the one who was able to get a PJ ordered for David in between shows while he was on tour earlier this year. Rob is at every single show that David performs at, and he's aware of every single person that David is bringing into these shows, and he needs to know their ages because some of these events that they attend afterwards are 18 up. And I know a lot of people are going to say that she had fake IDs, but there were so many events that David was at with his friend group, and there are photos of everyone at these events, and Celeste is not in any of them. A couple of people.
Okay, it is a little bit weird. I always thought it was weird that she was apparently backstage at events, but then Celeste was just nowhere to be seen in official pictures. Like, why is she not in the photo booth if that's his girl? But then again, that makes sense. That's probably the most plausible deniability you're going to find with this situation. You're going to say, well, she wasn't in any of the official photos, so they can't have been together. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a closer look at this kind of ecosystem that was built around David, and we're going to start off with Robert Morgan-Roth's kind of background to just understand how we got to this point. So look, Rob's got a lot going for a man. He was a student athlete, all right, in Bryant University in New Jersey. He basically was, he was hitting dingers. He returned to the mound, making multiple appearances, 5 runs on 9 hits. He was putting in work, okay? He got good education, all right? Basically was an athlete, was a promising baseball athlete, and basically his time at Bryant University is documented online, okay? A couple of videos still remain online that were apparently videos from around when he was actually at university.
I saw muchas cosas hacer.
En lugar de sentado en la computadora. Good. Debes tocar la guitarra.
Debes leer un libro. Debes salir con tus amigos. Debes correr.
Debes jugar baseball.
So basically, okay, this is 2012 Spanish Lab 106 class at Bryant University, okay? I don't fully understand what's going on. Who knows? Maybe this is one of them satanic industry rituals they be talking about, okay?
What's it, man? You're the worst! I'm sorry, what do you want me to do about it? I just wish there was another option.
It's just bizarre.
Now introducing Campus Cuts, where you can get your hair cut on campus by professionals.
I'm not gonna lie, Bobby Morgan-Roth is a little bit disturbing, okay? The years passed, all right, he had he got his education and he glowed up, okay? He glowed up. So many years later, he would move on to becoming a tour manager, Okay, and by 2019, he was getting into the industry. Didn't need to play that acoustic guitar in the dorm no more. He got his cap turned backwards, right? And he managing Smoke Perp. He on some cool flyboy shit at this point, okay? Says Robert quickly jumped into the music industry after completing a college baseball career. He was hitting dingers. Now he's making hits in the music industry. His first experience in touring was working for an entertainment travel agency in NYC. After handling travel for tours for over a year, Rob began managing for Smoke Perp. He's now handled advances, tour management, day-to-day management, and A&R work for over a year. In his first year in the business, he managed tours in the USA, Europe, Asia, and Australia. This year, his team will be performing at Coachella for the first time under the artist group name Gucci Gang. Now, that didn't really pan out, but it was supposed to be Smoke Perp, Lil Pump, and Gucci Mane. In 2019, he began managing the artist Parser and the producer Mike Zara, who will both be emerging individuals to look out for in 2019. Now, he would continue to rise through the industry, right, putting in work for the likes of Smoke Perp. That must have been a legendary time. But around the time that David signs to Mogul Vision, this is when Robert becomes the general manager of the label, and he specifically gets on board to manage David. And we did actually already see this from his LinkedIn. So here he goes from being tour manager for Lil Mosey. He was working with Smoke Perp. He rises his way up, okay, and he becomes the general manager in January 2022 of Mogul Vision. And this is when David locks in, and basically, okay, what's very interesting is within 2 years of that, all right, I think it was 2023, it says here 2024, but he became the president of Zara Brothers Travel LLC, okay? It would be a travel company, but their main client would apparently be David. Now, what's interesting, okay, is this low-key gives a little bit of backstory into why this guy was so instrumental and plugged into the day-to-day goings-on with David, and why it makes you think he might surely have known something weird was going on, if it was really going on, like they were saying it was going on. Maybe should have called the police, as the grand jury allegedly said. It said, Zara Brothers is a premier travel agency and tour concierge service dedicated to the entertainment industry. At Zara Brothers, we're more than travel agents. We're former tour managers who have spent a decade on the road. After 10 plus years living out of hotels, we know the unique challenges that artists, crews, and managers face. That's why we built an entertainment-focused travel service designed to keep tours smooth, comfortable, and under budgets. Experience that travels with you. It's going to be hard to say I didn't know what was going on when you got experience that travels with you. We've lived it, so we get it. We understand that every client has unique needs, whether it's discreet VIP access through a private entrance at the Rosewood or securing affordable day rooms for crew members in small-town Kansas. With years of expertise, we specialize in balancing luxury and practicality, ensuring your tour runs seamlessly, feels elevated, and stays on budget. Think late-night room service menus, laundry handled, or even a Peloton waiting after a long day. Do you think you could keep a secret for me? It says, we treat your travel as if it were our own, working behind the scenes to keep your tour running smoothly, comfortably, and stress-free, right? We would do anything for you to not be stressed. It says, what we do differently, because we've been in your shoes, we anticipate the details that make a tour seamless. Exclusive tour rates not found online, bus parking accommodations prepared, rooms ready upon arrival, complimentary upgrades when possible, strong relations with hotel personnel. Right, so they always send excellent hotel options. So good about getting early check-ins, helping with tour bus drivers, plus dealing with credit card authorizations. They're happy to get it off their plate, right? They treat every tour as if it were their own, handling the details, smoothing out the stress, and ensuring your travel feels comfortable and professional. With Zara Brothers, you get more than bookings, you get peace of mind delivered, all right? FAQ, I do have a whole bunch of questions, all right? I do have a whole bunch of questions. Who we work with, what kind of artists and teams do you work with, okay? Doesn't say the big man himself. They work with a variety of artists and their teams, right? They'll work with anybody. They're flexible, okay? They're flexible. What we got? On the road support. What if something goes wrong during the tour? You got a dedicated agent and hotel sales rep via phone, email, or text. Why choose them? Is there anything? Is there any? I just wanna see like how you guys deal with when things go really, really wrong. Anyway. So Robert basically has a brother called Mike Zara. Okay, that's probably why it's called Zara Brothers. And he's actually known, his real name is apparently Michael Morgan Roth, and he is a producer on David's music. And this is the Mike Zara that was apparently coming under management. And what do you know? He did songs for Smoke Perp as well as David. Okay, Mike Zara is an American guitarist and musician, performer, mixing engineer, music producer, best known for working with various artists like Smoke Perp, Lil Mosey, Gigi Perez, and much more in the future. Right? Took David off the list. He's also notably worked with frequent collaborators who live in the same country named DSC Sunny. And he's also produced for a multitude of Smoke Perp songs. All right? He would also be seen performing with one of David's guitarists. He's plugged in. All right? So the Zara brothers, the Morgan Roths, They're involved a little deeper than maybe the average person. SOS tour is over, even if it doesn't feel real. Oh, sorry, it doesn't even feel real. Thank you, David, for trusting me to rock and roll with you on the big stage. And thank you, Scissor, for having us along. Truly one of my life's biggest highlights. I'll tell my grandkids about all the fun we had on this tour, and I'm eternally grateful. All pics to the GOAT. All right? So in 2023, that's when Mogul Vision would enter a joint partnership with Interscope Records' Darkroom record label. And this is where Josh Marshall's really hitting the big time, okay? He's really hitting the big time. Let's get these ads out of the way. It said Interscope Geffen A&M Inc.'s partnership with Josh Marshall's Mogul Vision, right? Tim Glover, Josh Marshall, and Nicole Wesaikoyaroko. Basically, they're getting busy, okay, in the industry. All right, Mogul Vision was founded 2019 as a joint venture between Marshall and Sony Music Entertainment owned Arista Records that's focused on breaking extraordinary talent and building artists' careers through innovative A&R, branding, and marketing strategy. The label's initial signings include Atlanta rapper Blatina. I need to look into her. Blatina sounds quite hilarious. Cleveland-born singer Kenny Hoopla. Variety reported at the time. Josh, Steve Berman, Nicole, and the entire team at Interscope has been amazing to work with, and I'm excited to continue our partnership via this joint venture. Apart from his venture with Mogul Vision, Josh manages a roster of artists, including Lil Mosey and David. All right, so we had Lil Mosey and David going back to back in the midst of, well, at least a year when that scandal hit. The latter has gained significant success with his hits Romantic Homicide and Here With Me, both released under the Darkroom Interscope label. Okay, they're basically saying they're plugged in. Josh Marshall's got the industry plugged in. He's got the industry on the ropes. All right. Now, online, a lot of Redditors were pointing out just how deeply intertwined this whole record label system is. And they've basically just built an entire ecosystem, a whole universe, a David universe, if you will. All right. And people are saying it's a conflict of interest. They're saying on Dave Idiot's Mogul/Darkroom/Zara Brothers Travel, conflicts of interest. David's record label Mogul Music is owned by Josh Marshall. His general manager is also the owner of his touring company, Zara Brothers Travel. They're all getting a percentage off his music, touring, and management fees. Mogul Music, the label, is also a joint venture with Darkroom Interscope. Does anyone in the industry know how common these types of deals are? Conflicts of interest in all directions, pun intended. People saying it's a 360 deal. They're all deeply involved in everything that happened. All the decisions made have their approvals and participation. I wonder what they mean. People saying, I'm also curious about this. His streaming numbers don't make sense to me. He got a huge deal with Interscope, but one of his managers of the travel company is living with him. If they were also a travel company, why is he having to call his mum to get permission to rent a private plane to fly to perform with that one girl in August video on the Withered Tour vlog? Wouldn't the travel company handle flights, etc.? It's a really good point. All right, it's a really good point. Okay, I know that, for example, Travis Scott, his streaming numbers were largely paid for or bumped up, exaggerated to help him blow up and make him seem much more popular than he was. It's a common thing. The music corporations make way more money percentages off of one huge global star than they would off many smaller successful stars or bands. It's really putting all the eggs in one basket situation, but the payoff is worth it industry-wise, okay? Saying he's an asset, this is how Hollywood moguls control their assets. This wouldn't be a conflict of inflict. They don't give a damn. A conflict of interest. They don't give a damn about what's going on with this. Only thing it does is bring them more money. He's making them millions from this case. Once things get settled or whatever happens, their intentions are to drop him. What good will he be after this? Nothing. If anything, you're better off dead than alive in some of the industry's eyes anyway. Not their responsibility. They just see the monetary side of things. But the fact he partners with Darkroom Interscope, go down that rabbit hole with Interscope. Woo. Okay, they're saying woo. Now, what's even more interesting, okay, the connection between Robert and Interscope Darkroom's general manager, okay? And there's been a lot of talk about this person. Were they at the event? Were they at the show? Anyone else remember someone stating that Lane Cooperstein with Darkroom was also Rob's girlfriend in those Hive photo booth pics from the Fonda Theatre? I went back and looked at the photos, and these look a little friendlier than just co-workers, in my opinion. It would make sense if they would be represented by the same lawyer. Now, that's interesting. So they're suggesting that perhaps this is the person that they want to talk to at the grand jury. And apparently she was there at the Fonda show. Okay. So is that her? Oh, boy. This is a little too cozy. I'm not going to lie. That's a little bit too cozy. That is a little bit too cozy. And then they're saying Celeste was there. They're saying Celeste was there. It's bad. It's bad. So they seem to be very close, but it would be strange for Lane to not want to talk, especially since Rob was called to testify. Also, they've removed all the Fonda Theatre booth pictures from their website. You could view them a few weeks ago, but now they're gone. Maybe she was afraid she'll have to implicate him. That's true. I didn't think about that. She might not want to implicate her boyfriend and get him in trouble if he told her that he knew something. It says, wow, the photos from the Hive Photo Booth Company. I dropped their Smug Mug account on a couple of threads. I found a screenshot of it, but that just went. I saw the account doesn't have those photos anymore. I'm hoping they were cooperating and turned the photos in. This was the company's reaction to the news when it came out on Twitter. Wow. So they actually tweeted back to the footage of the car in the impound lot, and they said, damn, we did his event last year. They telling. High photo booths are telling, basically, and more power to them. That's crazy. They're saying the Fonda Theatre has been a focal point of discussions recently. It definitely has to do with David's inner circle knowing that Celeste was part of it. Everything in this photo is opposite of what his music is about. Creepy enablers and Lil Sis aren't safe with a PDF as a brother who killed a girl a couple of years older than her. Mum and brother were all happy here while knowing everything's sick. This is actually crazy, okay? People, I can't say for sure, but like, hey, they're saying that Lane Cooperstein was apparently very close to David as well. Okay, there's more going on the Reddit. And basically saying other players were aware of their relationship. Right? Is that her? The secret ninja group chat. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Secret ninja group chat. Who's in there? Can I zoom? Can we zoom? Let's see if I can zoom. Can't quite see. Can't quite see who's in the secret ninja group chat. I believe people are inferring that that's Lane Cooperstein. She's friends on Facebook with Robert Morgan Roth. Let's see the post. It says, before I begin this, the identity was not found by me, but another Redditor on here who's a super sleuth and is given permission to share. After the Doheny location was exposed, aka Celeste's hideout, aka controversial of R-word in kids stream, curiosity sparked for the identity of the woman who was managing David's streams from that house. Oh no, behind the black curtain. Oh my gosh, is that her? So they're saying she was in a background for the streams. Damn. And have we got clips? Oh no. Oh boy. If they're saying that's her behind the sheet.
Oh yeah, you're back in your element, huh? What do we have here?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're back in your element, huh?
Something like that.
Fortnite,
something like that. Something like that. Something like that.
I want to see some top tier gameplay, bro.
We just lost. We just lost.
Oh.
We just lost.
How we doing?
Okay.
Oh. Oh.
2 minutes. Okay. I'm not doing it.
You can't really say you didn't know what was going on in that house if you popping in telling him what to do in the crib.
All right, perfect.
You plugged into what's going on.
So
right
basically, the tournament starts.
Oh dear.
The tournament starts.
That's compromising, I would say. She there, she all up in the crib, she in the background, she peeping behind a curtain, telling them what to do. Yeah, that's not a great look. Okay. Anyway, the super sleuth caught her name in this interview where he showed her phone, and she's part of the Secret Ninjas. Her name is Lane Cooperstein, and she's the GM of the Darkroom. She spearheaded the development of multi-platinum up-and-comer David, including securing a performance at Valentino Men's Fashion Week and his tour announcement with SZA. In the past year, she's built an in-house creator marketing team and an international marketing. Why does it matter? Because she was apparently around the Doheny house, and she probably has knowledge of Celeste. Okay? Is that her following Robert Morgan Roth? Big Robert, man. He keeps getting dragged into this thing. Same brown-haired girl they were messaging about? Apparently it is. Okay, Lane Cooperstein. The only words that come to mind right now are, you big dummy. From a clip on Variety. Oh, no. My main goal is to help our darkroom artists grow in every facet of their career while building a global story around the worlds they're creating. AKA, she encouraged David to tell a story about being a murderer as compelling content. No way, that's not... No way is that what she said.
On September 6th...
Let's be careful. Okay, this has got to be trolling. This has got to be trolling. That can't be a real song. Is this like a fake song of his? I'm going to have to go and watch this video another time, all right? But anyway, it goes on to say some of the most exciting things we've done have been producing out-the-box ideas in high-visibility moments. I don't know if I'm believing this comment, but it is an interesting theory. It says, because it's such an out-the-box idea to have a guy make up some scenario for his music videos where he's solving murders that he did himself. How did this pass the sniff test? If she felt like it was off, why didn't she report shit earlier? I'm dying to know the explanation because I don't believe a human could be this bad as to not speak out on the sense that something was way off with this, or maybe she just grew up in Beverly Hills privileged as F and didn't imagine someone could do something this bad. People saying that maybe they did it for money, they saw the potential in him. But I think this comment is actually on point. It says, to be fair, no one knew it was that serious. Literally everyone assumed it was some dark emo shit, and that sells, and her job was to sell it. Nobody thought he was literally talking about murder because that would have been crazy. Personally, I think she's likely guilty of knowing about Celeste and turning a blind eye, but I don't think it's fair to blame her for his content and not thinking he's a literal murderer. I think that's actually the most level-headed way that anyone has described it on this thread so far. But anyway, there would be, okay... There would be some leaked screenshots that were looking pretty compromising, okay? These apparently came from the Discord, okay, after Celeste's body was discovered. And basically some people believe that Robert might have been feeding information to the Discord about the situation that was going on. Okay, this is after the body was identified, or this is after the body was discovered. People saying, "Oh, Robert is fixing stuff." All right. Somebody said, "I deleted my socials." Zerks is saying good, and someone at Zerks, he said literally what Rob said to do. So they're saying Rob's telling them to delete their accounts, delete their socials, and it says Rob's not helping nobody, twin. They said that to you to cover their ass and pretend they care about us. He doesn't understand how bad they have it. He said this a while ago. Damn, they better give us a better lawyer like Saul Goodman. That's Sophia. So this is David's inner circle and friends basically talking about log out, delete the app, delete this. Bro, why are you still listening to people? Their priority is David, not us. They're all in there. Basically, allegedly, this says Rob told him to delete the socials. All right. So if he's hopped on there in Discord and told him to, I can't confirm or deny that that's what actually happened. But people are in the Discord saying Rob told us delete the socials, delete the social. We need to get off of here. All right. Now, interestingly, even though the two people that were most close to David, okay, Neo the Asian, all right, I've talked endlessly about him and the rumors that he was maybe romantically involved with David. All right. But what's interesting is a lot of people have been trying to point out, okay, that he was apparently following. Some people are saying, yep, he is still following Rob Morgan-Roth, all right? He's not following David. He's not following David, but he's following Robert Morgan-Roth, okay? Maybe Rob is the protector. I don't know. But basically, these people that were allegedly on the inside, Asia Collins too, all right? They're basically saying, she ain't following David no more, but is she following Rob? Yeah, there he is. There he is. Wait, he's there. He's there. All right, still following Rob. Everyone's still following Rob. Okay, and there have been people. Basically, I don't know whether this is astroturfing by David's team. All right, I don't know whether this is just deranged theories that are floating around, or whether somebody actually knows more than the general public and is spreading this information. But what people are saying is that they think that the rumors that have been going around on TikTok and on other pages is that the manager was actually the guilty party. Now, I'm not condoning it. I feel like we should still keep our attention on David because realistically, like, he's said way too much. Like, bruh, bruh. Some of these songs, some of this symbolism is just like too dark. You need to explain this stuff. But people are saying manager involvement. I've seen a few things here or on TikTok saying that the managers, Rob more specifically than Josh, were the guilty party. I saw a TikTok that essentially implied that it was Rob that took Celeste's life to enable D4VD to be able to keep making money and performing. As much as it's possible, I just can't see that being true. They obviously knew her and knew who she was to David, but I don't think they would be so involved as to kill her. This screams crime of passion more than anything. What are your opinions? So look, this is obviously a ridiculous scenario. It says, hey, David, let me borrow your car. Also, don't ask where your underage GF is. Just keep touring. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say this didn't happen. Right? People saying, I agree. They're trying to push this narrative that the manager got rid of her so David could continue the tour. But that whole angle is wild. And that would be really handy for David, wouldn't it? If you could convince the world of that. You're not going to just murder a child in cold blood to protect one artist on your label's reputation. It makes no sense that they think the manager involved past knowing about Celeste and their relationship and not reporting it. He probably knew she was deceased too. It's very possible he helped either way, but David's the main perpetrator. I think it was his girlfriend that disappeared, was in his trunk. Where'd all her clothes, shoes, shower stuff, makeup, hair, or phone go? You can't get rid of someone else's girlfriend without the boyfriend knowing. Okay, some people are saying just stick to what major media outlets have confirmed and ignore the internet rumors. But they're saying Rob was being admonished by the judge or by the grand jury. I wish we knew when Rob hired his attorney. Was it very early on? Did he have a guilty conscience? He probably didn't kill her, but he definitely is David's fixer. It's literally his job. I think he came up with the idea of what to do with the body. It says you don't have to be guilty to know. The first thing to do is ask for legal representation when you're about to get questioned by the police. He was saying he probably got one on standby when it came to the car with Celeste in the trunk. Was reported to be David's Tesla. If he knew the situation, he definitely knew he had to lawyer up. If he didn't know what happened, he probably waited to see how it would go and then realized I better seek a lawyer because this isn't looking good for anyone involved. It really isn't looking good. It's not probable, and it diminishes completely the severity of femicides who the perpetrators are. I can only assume that the people holding this opinion haven't been educated in gender violence issues. All right, I don't know if I can vouch for that comment, but it's interesting. Two managers knew of Celeste and they were around at the same venues that she was at, but who's to say they didn't distance themselves from the relationship because of their age? This might come off as dumb, but can we possibly think both managers agreed to have the stance of I'm not touching the relationship situation? David's family knows about Celeste, so let's just have his family handle that aspect. We'll handle the business. Yes, they were all getting money and kickbacks, but David isn't Beyonce. He's not pulling in millions and millions. Everyone is just so rich. Who's to say David and his friend group agreed to keep this under wraps, and if either manager brings up Celeste, they just say David broke up with her again, or spin it that she's clout chasing and that he cut her off and they're not together. I personally don't think either manager brought up or went out of their way to acknowledge Celeste. Josh Marshall claims most of his time is spent in Texas, so he's not around. The other manager could be like, I don't care about this little kid in the sense I have a business to run. I can't be bothered with David's love life. Knowing that they knew her age, I feel like they had tunnel vision, and the only time it seemed like one acknowledged was when that email went around, which resulted in her getting dropped back to her home with her family. So look, that is a level-headed way of looking at it. I feel like it's just like when you're promoting your travel company and you're like, we will be involved in every aspect of your tour, and then we're seeing pictures backstage of you with the minor at the shows, and she sat in between the family. It's hard to believe. Like, it's like, okay, you were saying you was involved in every aspect of tour life, but also you want to say it wasn't my responsibility, I didn't call the police. So it's a very strange one. But as a lot of those comments, they're basically saying, look, it's a bit of a reach, right? And all the satanic ritual stuff, that sounds like a load of nonsense, okay? But I do feel like there's probably questions that need to be answered. I would be very interested to find out who they're going to haul into that grand jury in cuffs, because that's what they were saying was going to happen. And I will keep you guys updated on that, okay? So I'll be back with some more videos soon. It's Christmas in like less than an hour, man. So it's going to be Merry Christmas probably by the time you watch this, guys. I will probably still drop at least one video tomorrow. I've actually got 2 videos that I want to do, so I might just roll it up through Christmas, man. But I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate everybody's been watching the videos on this channel. On the main channel, we just dropped the Stockton documentary. I went to the spot where everything went down, and I'm going to do a full breakdown of what my experience in Stockton was like in a video on this channel, probably in a day or 2. But until then, just stay tuned, man. I'll keep you guys posted on the next videos. Merry Christmas. Peace out.